Greetings and thanks for watching. This presentation explores what early explorers like Verrazano, Cesar de Leon, and de las Casas actually saw when they described the people of the Americas. They wrote of dark-skinned, compassionate, and highly civilized communities long before the slave trade reached these shores. Before we start, I would like to ask, how many of you ever heard someone in your family say, "We got Indigenous"? I'm Cherokee. My grandfather was Blackfoot, and so on. Let's prove it with Hidden Histories by re-examining early descriptions of dark-skinned indigenous peoples in the Americas. Early explorers describe indigenous peoples of the Carolinas and beyond, diverse in skin tone, sophisticated in culture, and deeply connected to the land. Words from Gianni di Verrazano. They are dark in color, not unlike the Ethiopians, yet the most beautiful and civil, like the ancients. 1524, and a letter to the King of France, King Francis I, from Giovanni de Verrazano. He wasn't describing Africa. He was in the Carolinas. Early descriptions of dark-skinned indigenous people in the Americas continue. Long before the myth of race, explorers met dark-skinned nations on American soil. Their presence was recorded, then forgotten, until now. The De Soto encounter in 1534. De Soto wrote, 7 canoes emerged from the reeds, and the first came an Indian as large as a Philistine and as black as an Ethiopian. From the Carolinas to the Gulf Coast, explorers kept seeing the same truth: dark nations already here. They were not slaves, they were indigenous to this land. These accounts predate modern racial systems. They remind us that color was once observation, not definition. Voices from the South. Dark like Moors, not Negro. Some Indians of the forest are very dark, almost black like Moors, yet they are not from Africa. Pedro Cesar de Leon, from Peru, dated 1540s. Here you'll see pictures of dark indigenous people. The picture in the middle is a picture of Native Americans. And you see she's dark, the child is dark. Then we go to the far right, go into the first row, first picture on the right, you have an Espanol with a Mora. Go down to the third row, second picture from the right, you'll see there's a Negra, and they make this 2 distinctions, the Mora and the Negra. So, Pedro Cesar de Leon states that the people are dark like Moors, yet they're not Negroes. So we see the classification in this casta painting. Casta was a system that they created in Mexico to put people in different classifications, categories based on their facial features, skin tone, where they were, where they may have been from, etc. Other eyes, same story. They are not Negroes, though dark. Their color does not define their soul. Bartolome de la Casa, 1500s. And this picture is a picture of a native indigenous person from Chile and Argentina. And this one shows a dark-skinned person and is dated in the 1700s. Ancient lights. Genetic continuity binds ancient peoples of the Americas. Migration, exchange, and cultivation carry not only DNA, however, recipes, rituals, and relationships. Amerindigenous DNA from 6300 BC to 1700 AD show ancient links between Carolina, Mexico, and Peru. Trade, migration, and kinship long before colonization. Our roots cross continents without ships. Reclassification and erasure may answer some questions. From Indian to other. Here we have a copy of a version of the 1834 Cherokee East Census from North Carolina. And this is a digital copy, meaning it was typed, and it has a list of people that they were able to identify as Cherokees living in North Carolina, in the Cherokee Nation. The other picture shows a picture of the slave trade route from 1810 to 1860. So we're familiar with the Trail of Tears, and there was something else called the Slave Trail of Tears, and that happened when they took the dark-skinned people living in Virginia in the northern southern states, and they brought them further south to Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and certain people were already there when they got there, but they had some in reservations, some were prisoners of war, some became slaves. So much happened. Reclassification and erasure answers the question of how people identities change. Paper erased what the body remembered. By 1860, entire indigenous families had been renamed, colored, rewritten, but never forgotten. Global melanation. Dark skin isn't a continent, it's a creation's rhythm. Here we are, a picture of a man from the Fiji Islands. And this picture was taken in the 1870s, and you see he has an afro. He's very melanated. And this is proof that there are people with afros and dark skin who are indigenous to lands outside continent Africa. Different bloodlines, same sun, same beauty. Dark skin evolved independently in tropical climates. Human diversity has never fit one map, nor one label. The pulse of the family. Rhythm of continuity. In each house there lives a father with a very large family. They live on pulse, beans, and peas, and are compassionate and charitable toward their relatives. Giovanni de Verrazzano, 1524. Verrazzano's description of large households show extended kin systems rooted in cooperation. Centuries later, U.S. Census pages still show the same rhythm. Big families, shared tables, compassion in hard times. The bloodlines stay close. The land they cultivated. They live on pulse, beans, and peas, which they produce with more systematic cultivation than all the other tribes. Verrazzano's letter, 1524. Food was sacred, science, planted by moon cycles and star signs. It was how early indigenous people expressed memory, community, and survival. Culture. Our ways remain with love, family, work, community, which is our real inheritance. We don't just survive, we remember with every meal, every Sunday, every song, every gathering. We love. We come together. We sing, we dance, we share. This is our culture. Remember what was hidden. For many families, genealogy reveals deep southeastern roots. From North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, tied to early indigenous groups deep in the southern states like Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. Recognizing this history helps reclaim and erase identities without denying any heritage. The goal is integration, not separation. Understanding the layered truth of ancestry. The foods, beans, peas, rice, cornbread, tell the story, the compassion, the care, the large family. They're living, we're living, archives of our indigenous practices. Clues are still here. History left breadcrumbs like names, maps, food, faces. The truth was never lost, only hidden in plain sight. The land remembers. Before ships, before chains, before the lines were redrawn, we were already here, and we're still here. And to taste the beans, the rhythm of the sea, and the memory of the land. One love to the people who always remembered.